For those of you that don't know, this asteroid's name is Apophis. This is the asteroid that is supposed to pass close to Earth on Friday, April 13th, 2029. It's going to pass within 19,794 miles of the planet's surface. This will be the closest approach to Earth by an asteroid of this size that scientists have known about in advance. This is going to be close enough where literally it is going to pass closer to Earth than like all of the geosynchronous satellites in orbit. Now, here's where you can't make this up. They named this asteroid out of an Egyptian demon. Apophis is the name of an ancient Egyptian demon-serpent. It's not only just a demon, but a demon-serpent who represented evil, chaos, and darkness. They said that this asteroid was the size of the Rose Bowl. Well, hello and welcome to the Tinfoil Hat Club. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ben. I didn't realize we were recording there, and I was mumbling.
Now the question is, do I save that? Or do I not? Maybe if Ben bribes me.
I won't. No, let it all. Show them our rewards and everything.
That's right. Well, either way, thank you for joining us yet again. So, Ben and I have discussed things, and we have decided that today we are going to talk about the date of 2030.
Hey, and we are having a date today because this is the first show we've done in a long time. That's just the two of us.
This is true. It's weird that you phrased it that way.
It's very poignant. Our date for 2030.
Oh my goodness. Yikes.
Yeah, this is kind of, I don't know how to talk to you. It's been
it has been a while. We've been talking to like other podcasts, which has been phenomenal, you know, and then we've had guests and yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah, no, this one's going to get put in the rotation pretty quick though, because we have vowed to stay true to who we are, and that we're going to have guests, but then we're going to try to do guests and then us, and we've taken some time off. Really, it's kind of been what it is too.
Yeah,
so
we've taken a couple weeks off.
We've kind of taken time off, but then we kind of haven't taken time off because like when we've been recording, we've still been recording a lot.
And what was that 1 week, like every day for a week?
Oh yeah,
and then we had a double day.
Yeah, it was. We were busy. But
you guys never noticed it.
No, they just get to see the release as it happens.
Yeah.
So. But while we have you, because let's see, you're going to hear this 1 week before. I think 1 week before this actually happens. Maybe I got to look at my calendar, but I think so. We're going to have Dr. Kent Hovind. We're going to have a special live show with Dr. Kent Hovind. And that is going to be September 21st. So mark your calendars.
Yeah.
I believe that is a Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
Saturday, September 21st at 1 p.m. So
yeah, it'll be fun. Exciting.
Yeah. September 21st, Saturday at 1 p.m. So join us for the live stream.
And he's always fun to talk to. He's a lot of fun.
He's a lot of fun. But we're actually going to talk about Revelation and Tribulation and all that, which we'll maybe get into a little bit today. But we're going to do a deep dive with Kent because he's done a lot of study on that. He's really good at the bookends. He's good at creation, and he's also done a lot of study in Revelation.
Well, I've always said to understand the end, you got to go back to the beginning.
I am the Alpha Omega.
That's right.
The beginning and the end.
That's right.
And it is amazing. God does love his parallels, does he not?
Yes, he does.
So, which is kind of interesting. That's really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the date of 2030 and what does that mean? What are some signs that are pointing there? Because the crazy thing is, like, we have had discussions ourselves, but then we have had guests on, and we've been guests on other people's shows like we talked about. And when we always get to the discussing, like, when's the end, it is amazing how many times people will say, yeah, I'm thinking about 2030.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. It's like none of these guys are like, and it's off camera, and usually we're not recording.
Yeah, some we have, but yeah, a lot of them have been off.
And so it's just a very casual conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though. Like, how many times do you figure that's at least half a dozen?
I know.
At least half a dozen. Probably more, like closer to 10.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. What do you think?
2030? Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think we're both kind of there, it seems like.
But if I'll say, if that's not the date, then soon. And I'm not saying, well, nothing, if nothing happens, I'm not banking. I'm not banking on, as you say, get fairy farted out of here. If nothing happens, I won't be disappointed, if that makes sense.
No.
I'll be relieved. But if something does happen, I can say, as Rush Limbaugh said, I told you so.
Well, I think going off of what you just said, it will be obvious to us it's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
Because of kind of some of the things that we're going to get into today. And again, we'll have another great conversation with Kent. So this is a good primer for our Kent conversation. So we're going to spend a little time. Because the other thing too is I think people are starting to feel it, right? Kind of get this vibe. It's really strange. Like we see this huge falling away that's happening, and like you just want to beat your head against the wall of like some of the Christians and like, dude, what's going on with you? Where's your head at? Like, why are you not focused and like paying attention to what's going on? Why are you so asleep? But then there's another side of the camp where like people are starting to wake up, and even people that like don't normally have anything to do with faith are like, man, something's up here.
I know, that's the weird thing.
Yeah. So, and again, I think that kind of goes back. We've talked Daniel 12 several times of like knowledge will increase in the end days, and how that maybe that's what that is. And I know you and I feel called to kind of share more and more information that breaks out of the normal mold with people to try to get them to wake up.
It doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. I try to focus, and it's hard because, you spend more time with probably the people who need to wake up that are your own brothers and sisters around you than you do the people who are awake in some ways or are more willing to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
So it can be a little deflating, but it's like it's sad to say, but one of the things that I've come to these days more than ever before is when Christ was telling the disciples, he's like, you go into a town, you tell them what's going on, and if they don't listen to you, don't stay there.
Yeah.
Leave and dust your sandals off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my approach, even with our brothers and sisters in Christ. It's like, well, if you don't want to pay attention, I got to go. I had so many people on the train tracks I need to try to save.
I know. That's the thing.
So, and save's a bad way to put it. Like your dad made a good point today of like not necessarily saving them. It's like, I can't save you. You have to make that decision to save you. All I can do is provide the information and try to, and push you down, to take
push you down. You're gonna
push you down in front of the train. We need a train sound effect in here.
Yeah, on the way over
we
here,
would use that a lot actually if we had a train sound effect in there.
On the way over here today, I was thinking about. I know this might be off but it's not. Of all the High Council and how they're all in charge of something, but Christ has already made his presence known. He is the Lord of that land, Israel over there, but not only physically, but spiritually. And it's our job, whether we want to choose him or not. Think about that. No other little God is like that. No, it's not but you just follow them blindly. And it's like we choose that. We choose to follow Christ rather than just staying in the world, but really we're following other gods.
Yeah.
But we choose to follow Christ because that's what he wants. It's like he said, oh, Israel, I wish I could gather you up like a hen
gathers her chicks.
And that's what he wants. He wants us to come to him willingly. Yeah. And not forcefully.
Yeah. It's like he operates just the same way as the Father, which is free will.
Yeah.
Yeah. God will intercede on your behalf, sometimes, and that's the mystery of it, right?
Yeah.
If you ask for it, I think so. Definitely, because you're asking for it, which you've now turned your free will. You've used your free will in order to seek him out.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes he answers yes, and sometimes he answers no. We just don't like no.
Yeah.
Because we're very immediate, like we think this far in front of our face sometimes.
Yeah, we are.
And if any of you have ever raised a teenage male, you'll understand what I mean by that. The 1-inch vision, I can't see anything past that, right? Anything past that 1 inch is in front of my face.
I get like that.
Yeah, we all do.
Just
get into the fridge and can't see the sour cream that's right there in front of your face.
Well, to me, this morning, I couldn't find the can opener. So
It was right there in front of you. You're pushing it around as you're getting into that drawer that has all the utensils and crap in it. Like, where's the can opener? Like you've shoved it 15 times.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus is the can opener.
That's right. He's okay.
He's opening a can.
Yeah.
Not yet, but come 2030. We're getting good at this.
Yeah.
So that's the next question, right? Is like, okay, so you say 2030, but now you had made the point, I think before we hit record, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean like the show, because we're not pre-tribbers. Like I'm not a pre-tribber.
No.
I don't think you're not a pre-tribber.
No.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
I'm not anything tribber. I'm just like, when it's over, it's over.
I just put it in terms of what people maybe understand because of how the eschatology is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, that's another thing that's divided believers.
Horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly.
And if you don't believe that way, you're going to hell. Well, then you just ruined millions of people's beliefs.
Yeah. Now I will be the first to admit, shame to admit this, but I apologized to my brothers and I told them I was sorry because I did get very frustrated one week. Because to me, and this is common, right? When you read this, and this is the camp to not go in. I read it and it's very clear to me and what it says. And I don't know how people mistake it from my perspective. And so I was very frustrated that they were kind of just doggedly stuck in that camp.
Yeah.
And I pushed too hard and I did more damage than I did good. And I apologize to them.
Yeah.
So don't do that. It's not worth it. It doesn't affect your salvation, or hopefully it doesn't affect your salvation. But that's another discussion that we could get into, which is the apostasy side. But it's really kind of silly to get into. But
I think that would be a huge, if people, when we've discussed this before, banked on
they are
ferry farted out of here.
They are.
And 2030 happens and they don't. And
yeah, if 2030 happens, right?
Yeah, if Christ returns in 2030.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are going to say no man knows the hour or the day. It doesn't say the year though, it says the hour and the day.
Yeah. And well, if you probably could figure out the hour and the day too.
Yeah, probably.
Because they would go off of what he meant by that was they would watch for the moon, the sliver of the moon for the Sabbath. And so they had watchmen watching for that. They knew when it was going to happen. And so when they first seen the light of the moon, that's when they would go, this is when we just start our time. But there's been a church that like did away with time and festivals and...
Does it rhyme with Catholic?
Yes.
Oh, crap. That's the one. I'm terrible at this game.
They did away with that.
Yes, they did.
And that could be Antichrist.
Yeah.
Because they did change what God set up.
Yeah. So, and if you're Catholic, we're not picking on you. We're picking on on the Catholic. It's not picking on anybody. It's just pointing out the evils of the Catholic Church. There are plenty of really good Catholic people. So the statements are not targeted at you. It's just targeted at the leadership of your church.
Yes, there's a lot of denominations that are like that.
Yeah, we've got, oh my goodness, I don't even know. How many denominations are there now?
I think like 40,000.
Is that right? Are we really that high?
Yeah. I think that's just in the U.S.
Bravo, Satan.
Yeah, he did his job well.
Oh, he's done it well.
He's done it well. That's
Man.
But
sad to say.
Yeah, we when he was telling them that, they knew exactly what he was saying. I don't think they were like surprised by that, but we are as in a Western church because we don't understand anything, and we try to make the Bible mysterious.
Yes, I find Revelation is really not that hard to read.
Yeah, you just you read it, and it has a lot of symbolism.
It's not linear.
And
like if you're looking for like, I start in chapter 1 and I end in chapter 24, and it's all like time linear. It's not that way.
No,
because it kind of freezes and goes.
Neither is Genesis. We read in 2 sentences, and it could jump 100 years.
No, that's true too. Is it always jumping? But I think for Genesis, isn't it always typically jumping forward?
I think so.
Yeah, it's typically jumping forward.
But I mean,
I think Revelation might jump back in some instances. But
yeah.
but there are sections that are clearly linear.
Yeah.
Like when you're reading this is a linear timeline we're talking about. I mean, you can't have the seventh trumpet before you have the first.
Yeah.
You know,
And then they even bring
sense.
up the birth of Christ. And so you have that in there.
Yeah, the dragon and everything too. You kind of have these little. It's interesting too because you go through the six trumpets, which we're going to read a couple today because it kind of fits into what our discussion is. And then Christ returns on the seventh trumpet, right? The final trumpet. And this is clearly in Scripture. I can take you to the places where it says this. Christ said it himself multiple different times, as did Paul. And Christ is going to return on the command of the angels at the seventh trumpet, the final trumpet. And, you know, you kind of have a little interlude between one and six, kind of right in a row, bang, 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 bang. And then you have a little interlude and some description, and then you get into the seventh trumpet after that. And I don't know if that's what throws everybody off. But the other thing, too, is I've beat this drum to death, so sorry. But if you're hearing pretty much for the first time, you know, people don't understand eschatology a lot of times, or they think pre-trib because they have no understanding of the afterlife, and they don't know how the spiritual realm works.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I'm like, when I started digging into this, and then you and I, you know, it became more and more clear to me that, you know, for me at least, and I think you would agree with this too for you, this is part of why we're doing what we're doing, is to educate people into the spiritual realm. Because when you don't understand the spiritual realm and how it all works, then you're going to really misinterpret and not understand how to read your Bible. It just makes things make so much more sense.
Yeah. You got to get the whole
story.
The whole story.
So
what they're fighting for.
Yeah, because when people see that, you know, we're going to get caught up in the air, and they don't understand what happened when Christ died and all that stuff. So that's kind of
that's past shows.
Yeah, go listen to some of those
past life shows.
But say now for me, the timeline that I see, which is kind of scary, potentially. I'm not a seer or a, you know, prophet or anything. This is just kind of when I read and I look around and I think what I see could potentially happen is actually we begin I believe that we are actually going to be, Christ is going to return. I don't like this, but I'll just put it out there it makes it easy to put it into a box for people because they like their boxes. Mid-tribulation. So the tribulation will be 7 years in length, and then Christ returns after 3.5, and then we are actually taken out at that time.
Yeah.
That's the way it reads to me. I think that the tribulation is actually going to begin in 2027, and I think the 2030 mark is when Christ returns to claim us, and then 2033 is when Christ returns again, and the show is over.
No, that's the question.
It could be the end of 23, 24, 34, I guess. Yeah.
What if that doesn't happen? What's that do for you?
Didn't rattle me one bit, so I just figure, well, you know.
You got to, I mean, I asked that.
Yeah, no. It doesn't rattle me one bit because it's like, you know, that's just based on some things that I've read, and ultimately it's kind of nothing concrete in there. It's just kind of looking at some of the things in the Bible, and you kind of have to scratch your head a little bit about it. Like Daniel's one of them for me that kind of points there. The other thing too is you kind of, when you start to dive into the Bible more and you start to learn more stuff, you start to kind of see how God works from a mathematical perspective. Again, his ways are greater than our ways, and trying to put yourself in God's shoes is a dangerous game. That's not what I'm saying. But what you can see is, like, now when I read the Bible and I will see dates and I will see specific days and weeks of something given.
Yeah.
And that's in there for a reason. And more often than not, I start to zero in on that stuff now, and I'm like, why is that there? And I have found more times than not, when I get in and I dive, there is a parallel that runs alongside of that, of something that has happened in the past.
Yeah. I go back to the when they made Israel a nation.
Which is 48?
48, yes. 4 years, it'll be 80. And he said, this, generation shall not pass.
Yeah, see.
And so let's say those people that were born in 48, a lot of them are still living. My dad's he was born that year.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
that's Matthew. Matthew 24.
Yeah.
So let me pull up Matthew 24. Let's take a look at that. I probably just got really bright because the screen is really bright.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm not. We've read this one quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is because, well, it's, apropos for today. We talk about deceiving everybody. I think it's down here at the very bottom where he says this day will not pass away. Somewhere in here. We'll get you back to the show in just a second, but I wanted to share with you how you can help support the Foil. First, head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and click on the Support the Foil button. This is actually going to take you to the page that will tell you the 4 ways that you can help support the Foil. The first way that you can support the Foil is becoming a member of the show. There are 2 different membership levels, starting at just $5 a month. Number 2 is you can just give directly to the Foil via the Cash App. Scan the QR code on your phone with your camera, and you can give directly to the show. 3, head on over to the merch store and buy some merch. And 4, anytime you want to buy one of our guest books, head over to the guest page, thetfhc.com/guests, and purchase the books through our website. A portion of the proceeds actually comes back to support the show. Thanks so much. Back to the show. Yeah, here you go. So we'll pick up in Matthew 24, verse 32. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer's near. So like paying attention to the signs, right? Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly, I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Now, a lot of times I think that gets misinterpreted.
Yeah. But I think there's like in Isaiah or Ezekiel, there's also a prophecy about Israel becoming a nation in a day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people read that and they think, well, then,
yeah,
the prophecy's already happened, or it's not right because Christ is talking to the disciples and he's saying they won't pass away before he returns. And that's not what Christ is saying there. He's talking about a future generation. At least when I read that, that's the way it reads to me.
Yeah.
He's talking about this future generation, that all the things that he's talking about, the future generation is those folks will not pass away before all those things that he just mentioned were going to come to pass.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to kind of pull something else up and kind of shift gears a little bit, because it's like, what are some other signs other than biblical things and some of the signs in the world that point to 2030 is our date? And for me, I think 2030 is the date that Christ will return, because the parallel that I see is if Christ was born around 0 AD and died 33 AD, that means that I think from creation until now, we're at 6,000 and roughly 6,024 years. I think that's pretty much dead on if you're reading the way that Bible reads to me. 6,024 years from creation to now. And, every day is 1,000 years to the Lord. So we've got 6 days. And then we know that after the 6th day, God rested. So we're technically past that 6-day mark, so we should be at rest right now.
Yeah.
But I think we've been given 33 extra years potentially of grace because of Christ. That's just a thought that I have. I have some things I can point to show that, but ultimately, it's just kind of what I think possibly might be going on.
I
can't find it.
No, I was like, I agree with that. He was here 33. Well, he was 30 some years.
Yes, I think that's pretty roughly. I think they figured out that's about right. 33.
But let's say that was the 1948 when it was made a nation, that would be 28 would be 80 years. So 28 would be the start of everything. And that would put us right in that timeline between 27 and 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think Christ will I think we start everything in 26 and a half, 27, right? I think by 33 or whatever, Christ's, age when he was crucified, I think would be.
So, and I think a lot of people have a misconception of it doesn't end.
Oh, like
yeah.
When you mean like at the 33 mark,
Like,
or at the 30 when he returns?
They think Revelation is the end of the world.
Well,
it's not. It continues on.
Yeah, the end of this world, right?
I mean, it can. Well, it says that there'll be the millennial reign of Christ, and we will judge the nations. Now, knowing when I said that, I chuckled. Knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
by meaning judging the nations, it's a whole different meaning than what it meant a year ago.
Now, are you thinking judging the nations is actually judging those Elohim?
Yes, we're going to judge the Elohim's nations.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because it said you'll judge nations and angels.
Yeah, don't you know someday you will judge angels?
And yeah.
Which is an interesting statement. And again, if you have no understanding of the spiritual world, that is Paul says that somewhere.
Yeah.
I think Corinthians maybe. I could be off. I always mix the books together.
And I think he is reclaimed. And we've become, I don't want to say equals, but we're the bee's knees. The cat's pajamas.
The cat's pajamas.
Yeah, that's what we would become.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, It's like, it's you can see all these things going on, and it's like, man, you can just tell like there's not much. There can't be much left. We're going to destroy ourselves. And it even says, Christ even said, if I hadn't shortened the days, there would be nobody left.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's just the beginning of it, but. It's interesting because, too, I kind of alluded to a minute ago, like when you start looking at the physical aspect of the world, right? They start looking around us physically.
We're running out of water.
Yeah, like there's all these signs, right? So, the genetic manipulation, the transgender and transhumanism movements, the lack of procreation. I just saw the other day that UK is now on a huge population decline.
Yeah.
And it's just going down and down and down. And I think globally we might actually be going down right now, not up, which fits because that's what they want to do.
Yeah, they do.
Is the depopulation.
They live. They do.
Right. But then there's this other kind of stuff too that when you start to look and it's like, well, this is terrifying. And this has been out there for a while, but when I was reading this the other day, I don't even remember how I got on it. It was like a short on YouTube, probably because of all the other stuff I look up for the show. But when I got on there, I was like, whoa, this is kind of terrifying. But this is the asteroid, for those of you that don't know this is the asteroid that is supposed to pass close to Earth on Friday the 13th. Friday, April 13th, 2029.
Yeah.
And it's going to pass within 19,794 miles of the planet's surface.
Yeah.
It says this will be the closest approach to Earth by an asteroid of this size that scientists have known about in advance.
Think they'll go try to blow it up?
I think so.
That could be worse, though.
Because they've been doing a lot of testing of this. Kind of gone under the radar, but they've been doing testing on how to almost like it's like Armageddon or Deep Impact.
This has already been done
in the movies.
Or what was the one where was it Space Cowboys, the older guys?
Yeah, that was like a rogue's satellite or something. Yeah, that was
they're all similar.
Going to fall out of orbit.
All same plot.
Yeah, space stuff. That's
space stuff. If you believe in space stuff.
If you believe in space stuff. So this one is, and you can't make this up, right? This is nuts. You can't make this up. This asteroid's name is Apophis. Apophis is expected to pass close to Earth. This is going to be close enough where literally it is going to pass underneath, closer to Earth than our like all of the satellites, the geosynchronous satellites in orbit.
The ones that are on balloons.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
All the ones on balloons. So yeah, this is supposed to pass literally closer than the satellites in orbit.
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard.
Now, here's where you can't make this up. All right.
I've heard Neil talk about this.
Yeah. So this is entertaining, right? I won't play the video just for the sake of time, but I want to read this to you because this is, or everybody, this is what Apophis. It has multiple meanings. Here's what it means. They named this asteroid out of an Egyptian demon.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's how this works. Apophis is the name of an ancient Egyptian demon serpent. It's not only just a demon, but a demon serpent who represented evil, chaos, and darkness. Apophis was the enemy of the sun god Re and threatened the underworld. Apophis was also known as Apep or Aphof.
Yeah,
So they named it after a demon. Now, the interesting thing with this is, first of all, let's just pause on that. If this thing was going to hit Earth, do you think they'd tell us?
No.
And have you seen the movie Don't Look Up? Did you ever watch that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should watch Don't Look Up. You and Maria need to watch Don't Look Up. I'm telling you, because it's amazing. It's amazing. They play it for funsies, but it's so funny because it's funny and sad at the same time because when you
Is it like you're reading the book of Amos?
like maybe a twisted version, really Hollywood twisted version. But the funny part about it is like everybody is so focused on all of the political aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
And all of the social media aspect of it that it's like nobody's actually paying attention to the fact that this thing is going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. And they're like the scientists that find it, and they're like trying to tell everybody like this is going to kill us.
Is it kind of like A Friend for the End of the World? Have you seen that?
No,
It
I
had
have not.
Steve Carell,
No.
and there was like an asteroid that was coming.
No, this sounds good though.
And so
I
it
love
was
Steve
like,
Carell.
it was a drama. I mean, it was kind of serious.
This is like dark comedy.
Yeah, and this was kind of like too, but it was like these two people didn't have a friend for the end of the world.
Oh wow.
And so it's an older one. But yeah,
Yeah. But you can see it, man. Like, and it's like, it's kind of taking biblical revelation and kind of like putting in like the modern spin on it of like how people will probably react. They're not going to believe it.
yeah.
Now, the interesting thing on a timeline, because that's not 2030, right? Because everybody's going, well, I thought you said 2030.
Well, it's 2029.
And it's 2029. Now, this ties back into scripture. So let's just pause there. Now, personally, I don't think that they'd tell us. I think they'd make something like that up and then try to come up with a plan on how to destroy it.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny too. How many times in the past have we seen Hollywood emulate reality?
Yeah.
Right? With
But what if it's simpler
Armageddon,
than that?
Deep Impact.
What if it's simpler than that?
As far as what?
Things that happen. What if it doesn't have to be some celestial rock falling from?
Oh, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, could be. I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's just interesting because it's like everybody focuses on wormwood, right? Because it's like, oh, is the name Wormwood? And it's like, okay, but let's read Revelation because.
I'll let you do that, and then I'll throw some knowledge down when you're done.
All right, cool. You're gonna get into the okay. All right. Do you want to do it now? Or you want to wait?
You go. We'll let him wait.
Okay, cool. So one of the first things you read when we start having the tribulation occur, right? We kind of fire things off with. I think we actually have is it the seals and then the trumpets?
Yeah.
We have the 7 seals, and then we get to the trumpets. Now, the way that everything reads to me, okay, and again, I can provide a lot of scripture to point to this, that it sure is what seems like we're being told in scripture from Revelation, from Christ, and from Paul. Everybody is saying Christ doesn't return until the 7th trumpet. So we're going to go through the seals,
Yeah.
and then the trumpets, and then the bowls are last, and the bowls are where the fun really
Because
hits
it says the Lord will pour out his bowl of wrath. The great dreadful day of the Lord. It's a day.
Yeah.
So that means this is going to be terrible.
It's going to be really bad. So the way that I'm postulating is by the time we're reading this, we have begun the tribulation, And we're still in the tribulation, and Christ has not returned yet because he doesn't come until the final trumpet blast. And so we've already gone through all the seals, which are bad enough. I think we got earthquakes and all kinds of fun stuff in there. Okay. Then we get to the trumpets. All right. And the seven angels who had and this is Revelation 8, picking up in verse 6. When the seven angels who had the seven trumpets prepared to sound them, the first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up.
And if you've read the book of Enoch, you will know hail is a judgment.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, it also makes sense, too, that was one of the judgments for...
Yeah.
Was that one of the... I think that was one of the plagues in Egypt, right? It was hail.
Yeah.
So here again, we have our parallels, do we not? The second angel, so that's bad enough, right? Now, again, hurled down from the heavens somewhere. Now, one of the other things that I've learned is, as I've read and we start to look at science, and God invented science, right? Which is hilarious to me that man tries to use science to disprove God when God is the one that invented science in the first place. But it's funny to me how
Get your own dirt.
That's right. Get your own dirt. It's funny to me how God uses natural events to do his judgment. Natural occurring things. Sometimes they're supernatural, but a lot of times it's natural. All right, the second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sun turned to blood. Or excuse me, I read that wrong. A third of the sea turned to blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Okay. And again, huge mountain.
Mm-hmm.
They said that this asteroid was the size of the Rose Bowl, which to someone looking at would be a mountain, right? It's a huge boulder-looking thing. Now, for me, I don't see wormwood in this. I see potentially this. We all get focused on the next one, which is number 3, which is wormwood. The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. I'm also reading from the NIV today. Let's switch over to the CJB. Go ahead. What was your thought?
Wormwood in Russian is Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
And what would have that looked like when it exploded? It would have looked like a star falling from heaven.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Have you watched the documentary? Or the it wasn't a documentary, it was a miniseries.
Where they go in?
The HBO miniseries.
Is it the one where they go in and they interview people and stuff?
No. This was actually done like a miniseries, like a drama miniseries.
Okay. No.
Oh, dude, that's it's sad to say, it's one of my favorite shows ever. They did such a good job. But it's actually done, HBO did it as a miniseries. Okay. Oh, dude, you got to watch that. That's so good.
Yeah, no.
Because one of the things that happens after that exploded is there was this huge beam of light that shoots straight up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all of the ionizing radiation,
yeah.
it makes like a bat signal up in the air, just straight up. Shoom,
so
ionizing the air.
So did John see that then?
I don't know. It's kind of a crazy thought, right?
A third of the waters and everything were bitter. Killed everything over there. And think about it, Russia, that's a big country.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think it did pollute a third of the waters and everything over there.
It's an interesting thought.
I mean, why would see, I think we, not only the Bible is it to help us live, but we can look and put things and say, did anybody think about that back in the 80s?
Probably somebody, but not very many people. I'm pretty much thinking that was probably they were too busy thinking about how God is going to return in 88.
Yeah.
88 reasons.
Well,
because that was that happened in 1986.
Well, that could have been something.
You know what? That happened I want to say that happened in April of 96 or 86.
That could have been, that could have been.
That's interesting. When was Chernobyl? I want to say it was like the 20-something. When was Chernobyl? Was that April 26th of 1986? And we just said this one was April 13th, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting?
God's always cyclical.
He does.
And if you listen to anything,
And layered.
If you don't think, I've always believed that. I always believed that was it, because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Why would it be anything else?
This has language that I don't remember if we read in the NIV.
Okay.
Let me do a little duplicate here.
Hey everyone, we'll get you back to the show in just a minute, but I wanted to show you another way that you can actually help out myself and the show. Head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and click on Pod U. This is actually going to take you to Podcast University. So if you or anyone you know has wanted to become a podcaster, this is going to be the perfect place for you. We actually have 10 different sessions available for you on here, both on demand, or you can actually book a live 1-hour session with me. Sessions cover things like how to set up your show so you don't become a statistic, equipment, recording, editing, distribution, marketing, guests, monetizing, how to understand your stats, and how to grow your podcast. You can head over to thetfhc.com/pod-u, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.
So the CJB, I switched over to CJB, and the CJB actually says, the second angel sounded his shofar in what looked like an enormous blazing mountain. Now, I don't remember if it said blazing. Did it say blazing in the NIV?
I don't remember.
That's interesting because that adds a little bit more context to, huge mountain all ablaze was thrown in the sea. Now, that tells me that's more like an asteroid, right?
Yeah.
Because when it's coming in, it's going to look like it's on fire.
Is it an asteroid or is it an angel?
Wow. No, I don't think it's an angel. I would think it was actually an asteroid or something, because an angel's the one sounding the trumpet, and I would think that.
But it is a serpent, right?
Oh, this one, yeah. Oh, I saw him hurled. I saw fall of the sky like lightning.
Yeah.
Or fall from the sky like lightning. Right?
Yeah.
Fall to the earth like lightning. Talk about Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to start connecting dots.
You do, and it's you know what? Dive into your Bible and read, man. It's all fascinating, right? It's all an interesting dive. So then we get into the wormwood deal, which is what you just postulated.
Yeah.
Maybe. What do you think? Do you think that that's what it was?
I think so.
You do? So this one would already have happened, which means, do you think, now do you, so that means to you, does that mean that the second one has already happened too?
I don't know. It could just be, he could have been seeing things happening, and because the name of the star is bitterness, and that's what it says in the CJB.
Yeah, it does say bitterness. It doesn't say wormwood. It says bitterness.
Which wormwood means bitter.
Yeah. Third of the water became bitter. Many people died from the water that had turned bitter.
Wouldn't some kind of radiation turn something bitter?
I mean, I would think so. Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. A third of the rivers under the springs of the water. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. The Incredible Hulk always seems bitter.
Oh, there's my friend right there. Let's just pluck that one out of this guy. There you go. Oh, my goodness. There's a lot of this, though. Then you get the fourth angel sounded his shofar, and a third of the sun was struck, and also a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, and a third of them were darkened, and the day had a third less light than the night likewise. It's interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of earthquakes, and a lot of asteroid type events or whatever stars.
Yeah, there's always.
Now that's interesting. Oh yeah, it does say star with the wormwood thing.
Yeah.
See, now that's interesting because on the one hand it said like a mountain, and then this one says star. So to me, they can't be the same thing.
No, they can't.
And everybody typically thinks an asteroid is wormwood, and I'm like, that don't jive with me because. No. And everybody sleeps on the second angel. Don't sleep on that second angel, man.
I know. It's like
he's coming to get you with that big, huge Rose Bowl size.
And I mean, if you believe that, okay, it's just going to come past us, I'm not worried about that one.
Mm-hmm.
because it says all the stars are going to fall to earth. That's Jesus said that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that one. If you really want to, I would worry about Jupiter.
No. Jupiter's rather large. It will definitely wreck our party.
Yes. Nobody thinks about that.
Well, you're talking like planets.
Planets, stars.
Stars even bigger.
All the stars fall to earth.
Yeah, and like you said, is it now for me? Okay, so star.
Yeah.
Could this also be like for wormwood? Could it be could that be talking about Satan?
Could be. I don't know.
Because it's interesting that it says a great star blazing like a torch. And we could see that, he's referred to as...
And all angels and stars are referred to as angels.
Mm-hmm. Son of the morning star.
Yeah. I mean, and that's... This is where that spiritual understanding really comes in. And I'm not talking like, worship spiritual,
Yeah.
This is like understanding...
The spiritual realm.
The spiritual realm. Because they're out there. I mean, I believe that. And even Jude, they were judged. The stars were judged for going outside of their quote unquote circle.
Left their proper.
Yeah.
How's it phrased?
Left their proper estate.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that means they went outside.
We're talking about the Watchers.
And it said they're wandering stars. And some people believe those are the planets that are wandering stars. Because we call them planets. But, I mean, you can get into all kinds of cosmology with this.
Oh, yeah, you get all kinds of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be good to talk to Kent.
And we'll
see what his take is.
We'll keep it grounded. We don't want to get too far out there.
Save it for, we got to have some future shows.
We'll just keep it flat.
Oh, I see what you did there. You flurfer. That what I called it earlier?
Yeah.
The flat earther, you're a flurfer. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's just now you can understand how somebody would come up with a pre-trib idea because obviously they get out of all this, right? They get out of the seals and let's just for funsies or horriblesies.
So do you have a ticket for 2030 yet where you want to go on that day?
Yeah, amen. Or even earlier. If this stuff starts earlier, there's going to be a lot of people dead.
Yeah.
So you better get your Jesus ticket punched. That sounded bad.
Yeah, it did.
It sounded very phony and fake. Don't do that.
No.
Put your true heart.
All aboard.
That's right. It's like the Polar Express. Yeah, no.
The Solar Express.
Jesus is, you better get it punched in the right way or he's going to come back and punch your ticket the wrong way.
Yeah, I know.
It's the 2030 is when he's going to come punching tickets. See, because I postulate all this crazy crap that we're reading, really the seals and stuff begin in 2026 and a half, 2020. I would say 2026 actually and a half is what the math line would have to line up to.
But if you go as Revelation is a cyclical thing, like, and I don't know what to believe on Revelation.
It's an interesting one. It's one of those where
does it just keep rolling and rolling and rolling till the end of the show?
I don't know. That's what I said. It's an interesting one. I think we make it harder than it has to be, but it's also very deep.
Yes, it is.
So it's one of those where there's probably like, again, when you start to study God, you start to learn that there's like layers in what's being said, what Christ is saying, what God is saying, what the prophets are saying. It's very layered, right? It's like past, present, future a lot of times, or multiple instances. And I think there's probably this one might be like layered on layered on layered on layered on layered, like very like layer cake.
Yeah. And I think reading the extra biblical texts help understand that as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And if you don't have that, and if you don't have a good spiritual understanding, no wonder people don't understand Revelation.
Yeah.
It's like you read it and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. What is this, a thing that comes out of,
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't like got into the you got 3 more trumpets after that, right? Now because we covered 4, and then the seventh would be.
Did you say 3 more trumps?
I don't know.
No.
We're gonna find out. This is the part where we tell everybody that you're backing Kamala.
No.
No, he's not. I'm just kidding. He's not doing that. Trust me, there would be an intervention. He's not doing that. It's all good.
Neither one of them.
I think we're so screwed either way. Oh, what's the difference? So yeah, man, you go read these seals and you go read the trumpets and then you go read the bowls, because now the bowls would be the Great Tribulation.
Yeah.
That's like Christ comes and returns at the call of the trumpet or a call of the angel.
Yeah.
And you see all this stuff, right? I mean, it's right there. So I think that some of these are.
And I just, when you said
hard.
that, I had the, remember when Christ, said, indeed you will drink from my cup. And I still go back to the people that believe they're going to get very farted out of here. What makes you more special than his best friends?
Now, when you say that, you're talking about a lot of these things, right? A lot as far as like the suffering and things.
Yes.
Of like what we're going to have to go through,
Yes.
drinking of the cup that he experienced on the cross, right? That's what you're.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, his disciples were all murdered.
I think except for John. John was the only one that.
Yeah, John could still be alive today. Put your hats on.
Yeah, that's getting foily. You've been talking to Zen again.
No, I haven't. I wish. I need to.
Get well, my friend. If you're,
Hi, Zen. If you hear this,
if
we
you're
miss you.
listening. Keep praying for Zen. He's getting better, but he needs some prayer.
Yeah, no,
Can't wait to talk to Zen again.
I know. No, it's what makes us so special. Wait, we're not. We're no more special. I mean, so if you think we're getting out of here because we're quote unquote the bride,
Nope.
no. Sorry.
If I had not shortened those days for the sake of the elect,
Yeah.
there would be no one left.
Even the Israelites had to suffer through some of the plagues.
Matthew 24, verse 30, then you can see, then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. So he kind of continues on, therefore keep watch. You don't know what day and hour the Lord will come, but understand this, if the owner of the house had not known what time, or had known what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him.
This is Matthew 13:30. This is like where the guys go in and sow the tares in with the wheat. So if for you pre-tribbers, this would be really scary if you read this. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds, tie them in bundles to be burned, and then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn. Now, are you a tare or are you a wheat?
It's kind of scary, right?
How many of the pre-tribbers read that verse?
Well, it's funny because when you're reading that, it ties into this right here, which is Revelation 14, right? So we had the 7 seals, and then we kind of have an interlude with the witnesses, and we also have the beast and the harlot, I think, in there and all that, right? And then we get to Revelation 14, and we pick back up with what effectively would be the 7th trumpet, right? And it says, I looked, and there before me was a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe.
Yeah.
So he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had charge of the fire came out of the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the grapes from the earth's vine, because the grapes are ripe." The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath.
Yeah.
They were trampled in the winepress outside of the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. 180 miles.
That's a long way.
Up to a horse's bridles. 180 miles. Yeesh.
It's a lot of blood.
It's a lot of blood. Yeah, that's a lot of blood.
That's great. I mean,
But you can see the parallels between that, right? We
Yeah.
used wheat and tares in that particular case, and we use grapes here.
yeah.
Yeah. But the same exact thing is happening. There's a separation that's happening between the two, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there is.
yeah.
There has to be.
But then, you go on and you're like, you get to read the bowls and all the plagues and everything else. So that's, for me, this is Christ, obviously, that's coming down on the cross.
Yeah.
So, and I'll have to find somewhere in here. Maybe I won't today, but you can go find it. Just do a search and you can find what happens at the last trumpet. And it fits perfectly with the parallels of everything we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So again, this is, and I think when we get to 2030, that's what I think. This is the event that I think is what you just read and what I just read. That's the same event.
Yeah.
And that is going to be, we are taken out of here.
Could be.
So, but by then we're going to already have experienced the seals and the trumpets. We just get out of not experiencing the last part.
Yeah. And if it doesn't happen, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm
good either way.
I am
I know
too.
where I'm going.
I do too.
So now the question is, do you know where you're going?
That's right. Do you? And hopefully most of our listeners do.
Hopefully so. But you know what? If you're not sure, send us an email. thedudes@thetfhc.com. We'd like to talk to you. Please do.
Yeah.
Or if you know someone in your family and you need prayer for them, hey man, let us know.
Yeah.
thedudes@thetfhc.com. We'll pray. We'll add you to the prayer list.
Yeah. We ain't scared to pray.
Yeah, we're going to have some things too coming out on like Facebook and stuff that we're going to start doing, like a regular prayer, like just posting, hey, could you pray for me for whatever or whatever. Or prayer and praise. We don't do that enough either, but yeah.
No. Yeah.
So, I mean, we got a lot of family members, man, that don't know Christ,
Yeah.
and have not accepted the gift of eternal salvation.
No.
That are just doing their thing and living their life, and they're like, that's a bunch of kooky, crazy nuttiness that you guys are involved in. Meanwhile, they're looking around and they're starting to go,
What's going on?
maybe you guys aren't so crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe that old crusty, dusty book that seems to be right at every turn.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's funny too, the more archaeological stuff we find lines right up with what the book says.
So, it happens. Boom. The event, the quote unquote, the event.
The event would be Christ's return to claim us.
To claim us.
Okay, whenever that would be.
That happens.
2030.
Then what?
As far as which aspect?
Where do we go?
See, now for me, I think that we would still go to heaven at that particular point to be with Christ until the end of the tribulation period. And then that's where things get interesting for me, because I'm not sure. I mean, I know the final destination. The final destination of all this is actually back on earth in the New Jerusalem, which you can read all about in the end of Revelation. I think it's maybe the last chapter even of Revelation.
Because the crazy thing, you had the 1,000-year reign of Christ. See, everybody,
And you have Satan being released for 1,000 years.
and then after the reign, then you have Satan released after the 1,000 years.
Is it after?
Yeah, it's after.
Yeah.
It's that one final test. So it's almost like You had 1,000 years of goodness. God's day, you had a day. We have a full day with God.
There you go. It's interesting. They are both 1,000.
That
has been coming up more and more too. The day is 1,000 years to the Lord.
Yeah, we have a full day with God. And then, hey, guess what, kids? You had a whole day with me.
Now you get to go rumspringa.
Yes. Who do you choose?
Turn you over and
who do you choose? See, it's still because it says people will be marrying and having kids in the reign of Christ.
You're talking again about what Christ's words were about as it was in the days of Noah.
No, this was like after.
Oh, see, now I'm not familiar with this.
It says, everybody says a lion and a lamb. That's not true. It's a lion or a lamb and a wolf.
Are you talking in Revelation again?
No, this is like Old Testament.
Oh, okay.
And it said a baby will be able to put its hand in a pit of vipers and they won't bite it and to live. And if you die at 100, you're considered a babe. This is all the 1,000-year reign. And so it said people will be marrying and given in marriage, having children during this time, but we're all under the reign of Christ.
You know who we're going to talk to this about in more detail?
Who?
Paul Hansen.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a good conversation.
Yeah.
That one's going to be a while yet. We're going to be talking to him at the end of October, I think.
Yeah.
Middle of October.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, we'll get you back to the show in just a minute, but I wanted to share with you a great way that you can keep in the know on all things foil. Head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and just wait for this green pop-up to appear. Fill out all that information in there and then click Keep Me Notified. What this is going to do is this is going to add you to our weekly newsletter. We're going to keep you updated on everything we have going on with the show, but you're also going to get some amazing perks in doing this. This is going to enable you to get access to our private fans Facebook group page, and also you're going to get an email for 20% off your first order in the merch store. So head over to the website, thetfhc.com, and fill this out today, and we're going to keep you updated on everything foil. And now, back to the show.
But yeah, it goes through all of that, and then it's like we have Eden again.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You know, you think, well, why would God do that? Because he really, truly wants his creation to love him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to force it.
Yeah.
And a human being, 1,000 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
There's going to...
But nothing to God.
Yeah, nothing. You know? Oh, yeah. Noah.
Oh, yeah, that guy. The dude on the boat. Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And so we think it's going to be a long time, but it's not. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, quickly. It's going to move so quick. And people are fickle. I mean, could you eat pizza for 1,000 years? Honestly.
Don't tempt me. No, that would be awful.
Yeah. And
Like I was thinking, it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about this the other day, and because one of the things too that I'm drawn to from a sharing and a knowledge perspective is the Exodus for whatever reason. That's been a big thing for me. And I thought to myself, because I have a new understanding now since I've kind of like dove in there and look at what they really went through and what it would be like to wander around in those caves and they're not even caves, they're like canyons.
yeah.
Just these 80 gazillion different canyons that are on the western part of Saudi Arabia where they crossed. But then I thought about the manna and what it would be like to eat that all the time.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
Yeah. And then they got...
And they're wandering around and it's hot. They don't know where they're going to get water next. And
yeah. And then they complain, give us quail. And they get quail and they get tired of the quail.
I know. Which you can understand. Like you kind of you look at some of it, their perspective.
And their clothes never tattered. Their shoes never wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, they had it all. But
couldn't make it 40 days.
I know.
Couldn't make it 40 days before they started making
Yeah.
false idols and stuff.
Men.
Yeah, man.
Humans.
We're weak.
As in the Lord of the Rings, Aragorn, don't let your hearts fail you.
The other thing that kind of ties into this too, shifting gears a little bit, is, they always talk about their 2030 agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Their crazy 2030 agenda, which I don't like. They were talking about, well, that's kind of the Great Reset. That's kind of the Davos crowd, right? Where, what's his name? Schwab came out and said by 2030 you will own nothing and you'll be thankful for it.
Yeah.
You'll be happy about it that you own nothing, because they want to go to this socialistic utopian state, which all this crap that we're experiencing, it all goes back to that, the DEI and all that nonsense.
Telling people how they need to treat other people.
Yeah.
And if you follow Christ and God, you already know how to treat people.
You should.
And that makes you think.
I fall short sometimes, but people make it hard.
No, but
that's my fault, not theirs.
I'll just, I think that is part of this spiritual warfare.
It is, all of it. Satan's way or God's way.
Yeah.
Having worked in the business world a long, long time, I can tell you 150%. Even companies that claim to be Christian are still doing it Satan's way, not God's way.
Oh no, I mean,
not all of them, of course, but like a good majority of them.
Yeah, they think.
Sad to say,
they think that their way's better.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so ridiculous too. And then when you take a step back, it's funny because even they're so stubborn. Like there was a huge, even still now, there's still a push for it of what they call servant leadership. And I'm like, oh, so you mean be like Jesus? Don't say that name.
So do you have to wash each other's feet?
They didn't go quite that far with it. But they use the concept and the heart of it, right? Is this servant leadership of be a servant leader, right? And I'm like, okay, so that's like the oldest biblical concept that you have as far as Christ, right? Like, that's a biblical concept. That's exactly what Christ was.
Yeah.
Washing the feet and putting them above himself.
Nobody wants to be a servant leader. It's a lip service.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, because I could take this the other way. Because Jesus said a servant doesn't know what his master is thinking. Only his friends do.
Yeah.
So there you go. It might be a Luciferian way of turning Jesus
always
up on his head.
Always
use the words that he said, try to make it sound good, but realistically, you're not his friend.
Only always.
So when you hear that term again, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too is like you can see this. Like I need to finish it because I just need to finish it. But I was reading The Great Reset, which is Glenn Beck. I've talked about it on the show a couple times. I need to finish it. I've got so many books I've started I need to finish. But you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, like who comes up with this crazy stuff? Yeah. And then you look at it through the lens of like when we typically look at things now, like I look past the worldly and I see the spiritual, right? And I see the satanic drive behind this, the counterfeiting.
Oh yeah.
And right, it's always like, it's so crazy to me because it's always a counterfeiting of what God has intended for us. But it's like, we're like angry toddlers who like try to just push God aside and go, no, we want to do it our way. And then we try to do it his way, our way.
Yeah.
And it just turns into a disaster.
Yep.
But then we just, get like angry teenagers and cross our arms and go, no, you were wrong, not me.
Yeah.
This is stupid. And do that, and then they try a different way.
Yep.
And it just winds up being Satan's way.
It's true.
Or the counterfeiting way.
It is. Always. Satan. Counterfeits everything. How many times have that's come up this past
it's
conversations we've had?
All the time. The conversation we had upstairs is not doing it God's way. It's doing it some other way.
Yeah.
Earthly way.
Yep.
So.
Mine.
Yes. Yes.
It's mine. I don't want you to have it.
Nope, it's mine. I don't want you to have it. Well, like even some of the conversations we've had in the circle that we operate in now, as far as this podcast and this theme, a lot of times, we seemingly, we haven't really run into it yet ourselves, but we have been told that there are certain groups that basically have that mentality. Where instead of collectively working together, right, iron sharpens iron kind of thing, and truly being brothers in Christ, it's like fighting against mine. I always think of the blue bird on was it Finding Nemo? Mine, mine, mine.
Yeah.
No, ironically, I'm wearing blue today,
and I was had a thought, and it's gone.
Yeah, I do that to people.
Yeah, and it was like
I derailed your train.
Yeah, badly.
There it is. It's back.
Yeah, then it went away.
It boomeranged.
Yes, it's gone again. But that's good.
It'll pass back by.
Yeah,
like Apophis. They were saying too, like the asteroid, like it has a deviation. Like they're not totally sure on that. Like if it gets close enough to Earth's, like gravity can actually pull it closer. So the next time it comes back around, not so lucky. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
yeah, maybe not.
We'll see. Just don't look up. That's a reference to the movie.
God can do what God wants to do.
100%.
But I don't think, this is just me, I don't think, because they said, well, an asteroid that would hit the Earth would, decimate. I've seen the videos and stuff on that. Not much life would be left. That's not God's way.
I can only know what I read.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think.
Oh, like if it wasn't part of the end?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I've often thought that too.
It's like, no. And I think you read it and there's enough information that God leaves for people to see that they're going to know, okay, but the name is quite interesting.
I just, the parallels of time, revelation, the naming of it, just all of that is just like, okay.
Which
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Which this goes to something quite interesting. Werner von Braun on his deathbed. This was one of the things that he said this would be one of the final things would be asteroids
hitting the Earth.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about it for a long, long time. I think ever since man has really kind of figured out, looking up, like there's stuff out there floating around that could potentially do us in.
And I find that very interesting. He said aliens and then asteroids. Have you seen that?
No.
Where his she was like, she worked close with him. And so on his deathbed, he told her
Was this like just some girl?
It was his close
admin or something?
Assistant or secretary or something that she was with him all the time. And he's like, it's all a lie. Everything's a lie. And then
what did he have carved onto his headstone?
It was Psalms 119. I think. I could be wrong. You could probably look that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up here while you're talking.
And so I find that interesting. That the top Nazi scientist / space science. I can't. NASA, NASA and Nazi. That's pretty
chief
close.
Scientist at NASA.
Yeah, that's pretty. Nazi and NASA. That's a pretty close name. Wow, I just thought of that, folks.
Oh, we got it here. Psalms 19:1.
Yep.
Psalms 19:1. So not 119, but
yeah. I knew there was a 19 and a 1 in there.
You got it right. It's backwards it.
Yeah.
So Psalms 19:1 which doesn't make any sense for the leader, a Psalm of David. The heavens declare the glory of God. The dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands. Now, this is the CJB.
Yeah.
Now, let's just look and see what the NIV version is, just for comparative funsies.
It's probably says firmament.
Probably something they typically play it a little safer. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the works of his hands.
Yeah.
A little different take there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The dome of the sky speaks the works of his hands. Every day it utters speech. Every night it reveals knowledge. So that's just interesting. They put 19:1. That's it. So the heavens declare the glory of God. The dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. That makes you think.
Indeed it does.
What did he know?
He probably knew a lot.
Yeah.
Any governmental agency like that,
We could get into a whole lot of stuff with that.
Oh yes.
Especially all the...
It smells of a Zen Garcia show.
Have you
Zen,
ever-
we need you, buddy.
Have you ever heard of Operation Fishbowl?
I have heard of this, but I don't recall what it is.
They were launching nukes in the air.
Like,
Yeah.
just to see what would happen?
Yeah.
Like how far up it would go.
Yeah.
And then it didn't make it.
It looks like it's hitting something.
And
And it was either Operation Fishbowl or Operation Dominic. What does Dominic mean? Of the Lord.
Really?
Yeah. Fishbowl of the Lord.
The fishbowl of the... I'm making a fish face right now for those who are just listening.
Just something
Something to chew on there.
Yeah, something to think about.
Interesting. We do need Zen back. I had you behind Zen. Operation Zen Shield. Oh, poor Zen.
No, I mean, all this stuff it all ties together.
It does.
And I really think that this whole 2030 thing is I think it's this agenda that they have is a finger poke in God's eye.
Yeah, I don't know what all they talked about, but obviously it's all bad. And we know what, clearly the left in this country wants to do. But it's really happening not just here. Like, I think we get very locked into our, America, not only Western, but America.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's got to be like us, and we only focus on us. Man, this stuff is happening. Like Brazil literally, so just so everybody knows, we literally just got an email sent to us because we're on Rumble. And for those of you that don't know, I'm going to, I'll just go ahead and read this.
I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, so this was sent to us, and it was sent to everybody on Rumble. I don't want to make it seem like we were, some kind of fancy pants people that were targeted. This is from Chris Pavlovsky, who is the chairman and CEO of Rumble. And I'll just read it to everybody because it just tells you what we're talking about as far as, one more thing that tells us that it's getting bad out there and it ain't just America.
Yeah.
And some of this you guys might have already heard because it's been Twitter and Elon Musk mainly, but they're not the only ones. And the title is Free Speech Under Attack, a note from the CEO of Rumble. Dear Rumble users, I don't typically send messages to our users through email, but red lines have been crossed. There have been major developments with free speech platforms, and I feel it's important to let everyone know what is going on and how you can help Rumble. Rumble is no longer available to the citizens of Brazil, joining the ranks of France, Russia, and China. From media reports, Brazil no longer has Elon Musk's X, or Twitter, due to attacks on free speech by Alexandre de Moraes, a justice of Brazil's Supreme Federal Court. World powers don't want Rumble, they don't want X, they don't want Telegram, and they don't want Truth Social. They want to control information, but our companies won't let them. There are no other large companies fighting for freedom like we are. We put everything on the line for it, and the Telegram CEO was recently arrested for it. Advertisers boycott our companies to try and cut our economic lifeline, but they underestimate our support among the people. The people keep us alive and going. And then it just goes on to say, if you want to help, join Rumble Premium and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what's happening in Brazil. And apparently France, Russia, and China. But France,
Yeah.
which, France had a time where it was like those people were terrified, of their people.
Yeah.
Like they'll take you out in the street and shoot you, revolution type people. But now it's Macron he's a Macroni is what he is.
Yeah, I know.
He's not a good dude.
It's sad.
It's getting scary out there, Ben.
Yes, it is. Read your Bible, sharpen your sword.
Trust in Christ.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Turn your life over to Christ and to God. You won't regret it, I promise.
I hope Maria's dream doesn't come true.
I hope not too, or Adrian's for that matter.
Yeah.
She has a certain dream that she dreams around that time too.
If you don't know, folks, listen to past episodes before video.
Paganism and prophecy,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe is what that one was.
It's a good one. Check it out.
Yeah, we interviewed our wives who both have had, hopefully, we hope not, prophetic dreams.
Yeah. Times are changing.
Hopefully they just turn out to be pathetic dreams
Oh.
and not prophetic dreams.
No. You said it, not me.
Thanks a lot. Do we need Zen here too to hide behind?
You're going down.
No, the girls know I'm kidding. We had them on for a reason.
Yeah.
Scary stuff, man. It really is. You've had some too?
Yeah.
I'm the one of the group that I do not have any prophetic dreams.
I don't know if this time or this shows to get into it, but I'm just going to throw out a conversation I had with
I'll write
Maria.
down future show as I normally do when this happens.
We were discussing how we felt after 9/11 the other day. I asked her the question. I said, "How did you feel? Were you angry? Did you want to go kill somebody because of that?" And I know you guys are probably thinking, "What does this have to do with 2030?" I think it has to do everything with 2030 because there was I think that was the last time that America was united.
Yes.
But it was united for the wrong reasons.
Vengeance.
We were united to go kill somebody that didn't do anything. And I'm trying to remember back. Did I want to? I've never wanted to kill anybody in my life. But I was like trying to remember. And Maria's like, well, she said, I was scared because she goes, I remember, what your dad said about Afghanistan bringing Russia to its knees in the 80s. And she goes, and I thought that was going to happen to us. And she goes, and I didn't want that to happen. I'd rather just, wipe them out and be done. She goes, but looking back, it was kind of silly. And I was like, yeah, but you can, 24 years ago, you can look back and you can see what has changed. And it was almost like it was set in motion. Like, this is what's going to happen. This is going to happen. This and this and this, looking back. And it was just all big setup for control. And what did the Patriot Act do? Now I'm going to probably make some people.
Gave them the right to spy on us.
Yes, and that's what
which they were already doing anyway, but it just made it more overtly.
And so if you think the Patriot
clear.
Act was good, it was bad. I didn't like it.
No, in hindsight, it was a horrendous breach of our civil liberties. A lot of people said it was at the time, too.
Yeah.
I think they got pushed aside because we tend to do that. We use whatever the hot moment is to try to slide something in.
Well, look, World War II with all of what we did with the Japanese.
Oh, put them in internment camps.
Yeah, we did that here where they were putting in Nazi Germany.
We waggled the finger at the.
Yeah, and we did the same thing.
Yeah, we didn't treat them as bad, but it was pretty. We didn't torture them to death, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
it was pretty rough.
I mean, we have
for evil.
We have no excuse for anything. We can't say, well, because of this, blah blah blah. No. America has sinned and they need to own it.
No, they're not going to.
Quoting from Jubilees of what Canaan did.
Oh, yeah.
He sinned owning to it. America has sinned and they need to own to it.
Nope, not going to do it.
No, because we are,
and God's going to turn us over because of it.
Yeah, as Reagan said, we're that bright, shining city on the hill. A bunch of bull.
Everything that I see that's bright and shiny winds up getting hurled into the earth at high speed.
2030. I'm sorry for my little
See
rant.
how it all comes back.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my little rant, but
It is. It's just an escalation of evil, right? It's just the next step in the rung of getting us closer to the end.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way that we have long before God pulls the plug on us, before we destroy ourselves with this technology and there's nothing human left.
Yeah. Who's the next great nation?
I don't think there is going to be one.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think we've seen it. I think we were it. I think we were it. And then that's, relative, because I think we're massively evil.
Yeah, I know.
So, well, Ben, I don't know, but
2030 is on the table.
2030 is on the table for sure.
Yeah.
With that 2026-ish, 2027. We didn't even really get into the Daniel thing, which is another thing that kind of points to the same timeline.
I mean,
so
we were like,
you go look and you look at the end of Daniel 12, which I'll pull back up here. And, not only do we have the line about, knowledge increasing, which is in Daniel 12:4, but you, Daniel, roll up the scroll and seal the words of the scroll until the end of time, and he will go here and there to increase knowledge.
yeah.
We're going to go here and there, Ben. Be traveling, taking the show on the road.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right? But then
please support us. We'd love to do that.
Yes, please support us. Go to the tfhc.com and click support the foil.
I ain't too proud, man.
We ain't too proud to beg.
We try to do the best content we can do, and Kyle is amazing at what he does. And we need, this is our plea. Please help us.
Yes, please. The tfhc.com, click support the foil, and you can find out how to help us.
Yes, I ain't too proud to beg.
I ain't too proud to beg. So there you go. But yeah, you get into Daniel here, man, and it says, from the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there'll be 1,290 days. And if you take the time that the daily sacrifice was ended before the Babylon time, right, before they went into captivity, and then you move forward 1,290 days, it is the exact date of completion of the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount over in Israel.
Yeah.
And then blessed is the one who waits and reaches the end of the 1,335 days.
Yeah.
Which I think the Dome of the Rock was like
13.
No, it was
11.
like 692.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm sorry.
Something like that. So you get 1335 on top of that. That takes us to 2027, baby.
Man. We're like at the 11th hour.
It's getting bad. Yeah, we're there. I think so. I mean, if not, oh well, we move on.
I would say we're at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's like the Doomsday clock, the atomic Doomsday clock.
Yeah.
It's like 11:59.
Yeah, and that's one thing I could never get behind. I mean, when we were kids, because we grew up at the end of the Cold War.
Yeah,
but there was always, do you really think man could destroy this earth?
I think man is incredibly arrogant to think man can destroy what God created.
Yeah. It took God almost a year of letting it rain and flood to flood the earth.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, here's a really good argument against like the whole, ice caps are melting, we're going to drown and all this and that. Like, okay, if you take a glass and you fill it up with ice.
Yep.
And you fill the soda up to the top, right? When the ice melts, does the glass overflow?
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Because it's already displaced.
Right. And matter of fact, you could make an argument that it will probably go down a little bit because the ice in solid form probably has air trapped in it in spaces.
Yeah.
So it might actually go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Not up.
And have you seen those pictures of like skylines from like 1900 to today? And it's the same
exact thing. Oh.
Al Gore, you were wrong.
And isn't that an inconvenient truth? Oh, we're closing on that one. That was good. All right.
We went everywhere.
We did. That's okay. Hey, welcome to Tinfoil Hat Club, baby. That's what we do.
We haven't talked to each other. For
I
a
know
while.
this is fun. So yeah, it's good. It's good to get back in the saddle again. So, all right. With that, we'll bid you adieu until next time on the foil. Take care.
Bye.
Atomic.